Ndebele, also called Transvaal Ndebele, many of several Bantu-speaking African peoples who lived primarily in the Limpopo and Mpumalanga provinces in South Africa. The Ndebele are ancient offshoots of the main Nguni-speaking peoples and began migrations to the Transvaal region in the 17th century. Hello, welcome to Traditional Africa. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and share this video. The Ndebele, also known as Amandebele or Matabele, are from South Africa and Zimbabwe. They have been identified as one of the Nguni tribes. The Ndebele people were originally an offshoot of the Nguni people of KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. Ndebele are a branch of the Zulus who split from King Shaka in the early 1820s under the leadership of Mzilikazi, a former general in Shaka's army. In the 1820s, Mzilikazi overpowered the Manala and decided to settle down with them. After some time, Mzilikazi became afraid that Shaka would send an army after him. With a clever plan, he lured the Ndebele men away, got others together, and killed them all. He then took the women and livestock and moved northwards in 1834 into present-day Zimbabwe, where they battled with the Shona people, eventually carving out a home now called Matabeleland, and encompassing the west and southwest region of the country, and finally settled in Bulawayo in Zimbabwe. That is the origin of the Ndebele of Zimbabwe. Under apartheid, many Ndebele living in the northern Transvaal were assigned to the predominantly Sesotho-speaking homeland of Lebowa, which consisted of several segments of land scattered across northern Transvaal. In recent years, the population of the Ndebele in Zimbabwe has been diminishing due to the genocide that was carried out by the Zimbabwean government on the Ndebele, and secondly, migrating to other countries, especially South Africa, in search of jobs and as after effects of the genocide and the economic crisis that has gripped Zimbabwe since 2000. As with most traditional groups in Africa, Ndebele life is characterized by an active spiritual world, which exercises great influence over even the smallest issues in daily existence. Illness and bad luck, good health and fortune are all seen as a result of either direct interventions from the spirit world or the manipulations of interlocutors with that world. The latter are the healers who work for good, or witches who weave evil about them. The ancestors are Bezumu, the most important denizens of the spirit world, are both solicitous and jealous, requiring constant placation through sacrifice. Failure to follow the dictates of the law and custom as demanded by the ancestors is believed to be the main cause of bad luck. They are also believed to protect the living against misfortune by counseling them in dreams, and by giving strength to the medicinal preparations made from herbs and other concoctions. The ancestors are thus the foundation on which traditional healings rest. The power of ancestor belief and worship has endowed the Ndebele with their cultural continuity, which has enabled them to retain a separate identity in the midst of more powerful and dominant neighboring groups. In the midst of more powerful and dominant neighboring groupings, as well as through the ravages of war and their diaspora. Initiation and rites of passage amongst males and females in Ndebele society marks the passage from childhood to adult status. At the conclusion of the rite, the initiate is allowed to become sexually active and to begin the protracted process of engagement and marriage. An important function of initiation is to bond age groups together and to distinguish them from other groups. Male initiates, known as abaketua, are impressed upon to associate only with other men who have gone through the initiation process. In order to ensure the exclusivity and elitism of initiation, the abaketua are instructed not to reveal to uninitiated boys what happens during the seclusion in the initiation lodge known as Mpadu. Through the process of initiation, males and females are inducted into traditional law and the deep mysteries of the group. This knowledge is passed on from one generation of initiates to the next, ensuring that the transfer of knowledge is maintained and cultural solidarity of the group reinforced. Male initiation, known as Wela or Ingoma, is conducted among the Nzuzela Ndebele roughly every 4 years, and the boys are usually 15 to 18 years old. Their names have to be registered with the paramount chief, the king. Once this is done, and the chief has set a date, the initiate dons a grass headband named Isonyanya, which indicates that he is an initiate in preparation. At this stage, he performs various ritual tasks for 3 weeks before leaving for the chief's residence, where they are back a tour from nearby homesteads. Each is given an isititrimba loincloth from the Afrikaans tetrium, made for them by their grandfathers from an animal skin, and a single, often threadbare blanket, despite the fact that the initiation takes place during the cold season. At the chief's residence, the initiates conduct rituals, symbolically bidding farewell to their boyhood. After this, they are taken to the chief's cattle enclosure. At dawn, they are woken and taken down to sacred place at a nearby river. They are dispersed along the river bank and circumcised. From here, they have to cross the river Ukuwela and march with downcast eyes under escort to different initiates' lodges. Depending on their village of origin, the initiates remain in the lodges, deep in the bush, for 2 months, being instructed on the law of the group and their responsibilities, duties, and rights as men. After their period of circulation, feasts are prepared at the abbatior's home, and the presents they receive from family members to celebrate the attainment of manhood are displayed. When the abbatior leave the infadu, it is set alight with the blankets and garments they wore during initiation, signifying the completion of their rites of passage and the closing of a chapter in their lives. After this, they return at sunset to the chief's residence, tightly wrapped in the new blankets, with their eyes downcast in an obvious display of humility, similar to when they departed for the initiation lodge. Beneath their blankets, the boys are naked with the exception of the isitirimba, which symbolizes manhood. That night, they sleep in the enclosure, and at dawn, the next morning, all initiates are publicly paraded and officially receive their regimental names from the chief. After this, the members of the group return to their homes. The next stage in the young man's life opens up as the process of engagement and marriage. Ikude, or Ukutombisa, which is a female initiation, is less painful than male initiation, as no clitoridectomy or body mutilations are performed. The process begins once the girl has reached puberty, starting the morning before the first full moon, when the girls are stripped naked and symbolically returned to nature by having all the hair on their bodies shaved off. Each initiate is attended by appointed guards who are older girls and women who have been initiated. Once the girls are prepared, the rest of the day is spent singing and dancing to the accompaniment of a drum-like instrument, from which a twanging sound is produced in the evening. The girls gather around the fire wearing a blanket given to them for initiation, while the guys are stripped naked. They sing songs before launching into a tirade of abuse and cursing against males, the concept of masculinity and male sexual organs, and women who have not been initiated. This ritual abuse lasts throughout the night. Early the next morning, the initiates and their guides go to a river where the former are ritually washed, after which they return to their homesteads. The next day, celebration is held and the initiate is again washed. She then goes into seclusion in a specially constructed room in her own home. In earlier times, the period of seclusion was 3 months, but today, with the demands of schooling and employment, it has been reduced to 1 month. During this time, the initiates receive instruction from her guides. She is also visited by the grandmothers of the homestead, who instruct her on law and customs, as well as her duties and responsibilities. The main point of initiation, however, is to instruct the initiate on the duties and practice of homemaking. During her circulation, she is not allowed to talk or see any males, and thus she performs the domestic duties she is taught during the initiation at night or in the early hours of the morning. At the end of the circulation, the initiate is taken to the river for a final washing. Her initiation blanket and clothes are burnt, symbolizing the death of girlhood. She is given an isifefutu, a stiff beaded apron, as a sign of her ascent from girlhood to womanhood. As with a male initiation, the changed status of the initiate is celebrated with communal feasting in succession at the homes of all the girls who underwent initiation. This is a time of joy, during which the newly initiated women are able to flirt and attract the attention of a potential husband. The Ndebele people are well known for their artistic talent, especially with regard to their painted houses and colorful beadwork. For over 100 years, the Ndebele have decorated the outside of their homes with designs. The multicolor wall paintings are painted by using fingers. The most frequent theme as in wall painting is the house. Gables, gateways, steps, roof lines, and light fixtures may also be recognized on women's aprons and on walls. This reflects the domestic interests of women and may point to aspirations of idealized homes. The dresses and beautiful decorated homes of the Ndebele people in South Africa are unique in Africa. Many a fashion model would envy the elegance. Exclusively the Ndebele women, who are renowned for their artistic skills, have always done beadwork. Their beadwork and bead pattern-inspired mural paintings in particular have become an integral part of Ndebele culture. The motifs used in beadwork and in wall painting show great vitality and dynamic response to the changing world around the artists. Stylized plant forms may express a hope for good harvest in a dry region. Colorful dresses, metal rings, and beaded hoops are used. The beadwork is sometimes so elaborate that garments and trinkets can only be removed by destroying it. The rings around the ankles, as well as necklaces, remain there for most of the wearer's life. The Ndebele tribe.